Hey everyone, welcome back to our new series, Hailing Frequencies Open, where we talk about what you talked about while we were talking about Star Trek. So without any further delay, let's get into what you say.
They're hailing us. Hailing frequencies open.
Captain, we're receiving 285,000 hails.
I wish I knew what to tell them.
So right off the bat, we get into what Vaystrom Review said on our child podcast episode.
Oh yeah.
They say, about darn time you're back.
Can't even take a week vacation around here.
No. And I just realized that intro is comprised of 95% content that's off limits to Caleb. Oof.
Yep. Yep. It's good. I have no idea why that guy portrays his uniform. I don't know about, The only thing I get know is increase laser to full power.
Also, you know the low computer. I like that part.
Yeah, I know a lot of it until like halfway through it, pretty much.
Yeah, right.
That goes off the rails.
Then they go on to say, I'm a big fan of Dr. Pulaski. She has a wonderful character arc, and her actual academic doctorness actually comes through in her character.
So now that's some cool insight.
Yeah. It's
Because
interesting.
I
Yeah.
liked her in the first episode too. I didn't know she had an actual like background in medicine. So that's cool.
You know, everybody has their different likes and dislikes, and you may not have liked her in this episode, but as time goes on, you may find that you like her again.
Yeah, I liked her in the child episode for sure.
Well, thank you for that comment, Zaystrom Review. But now we'll move on to a comment from my office.
My office. All right, well, hold on one second. Let me refill my coffee. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, prepare. He says, "Welcome back. Love the reference to the child from The Mandalorian."
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It was
I
pretty
don't know
good.
who came up with that, but brilliant.
Not sure who thought of that. Yeah, probably couldn't point a finger in any
No,
way.
absolutely brilliant though.
He says it's hilarious to think of a different rating system each week.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, I'm a little surprised to hear Will place the episode so low for the season. I feel it's middle of the road. There are worse episodes this season, in my opinion. Though I think bad episodes are fewer in season 2 over season 1. Yeah, it's interesting.
That is interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're not too big on
Mm-mm.
the child.
No, it's pretty low. Pretty low on my list of season
It's a
2.
lot. It's a lot of stuff like all at once.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. It's not my favorite. I'll be interested to see where I place it at the end of season two.
Yeah, true. Because I'm also going off of older memory. In the past, when I would go back to watch Next Gen, like I might watch a couple episodes in season 2, but most of
Yeah,
it like season 3 onward. So
it's not gonna be the child, is what you're saying.
no. No. Then he says, Excelsior class vessel. I feel the music in the introductory scenes is very triumphant, like it's announcing the return of TNG. I'm happy to see Geordi promoted and now chief engineer, Worf rocking the gold. And I totally agree that the ship feels more alive.
Yep.
It's
What
nice.
about 10 forward?
Almost.
It feels good to have an actual chief engineer for a change on the ship.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It was funny because like the first episode in season two, it's like all of a sudden immediately what I remember TNG being like seeing it as a kid,
Yeah.
like how everybody looks and the roles they're in and Riker's beard, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so they abandoned all that stuff pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly, yeah. And he says, Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. doing crawling
No,
around in some woman's bed?
no, no.
Looks like it will be more than just staring for Troy this time around. Things do get a bit weird as they try to tackle the pro-life, pro-choice issues this episode brings up.
Yeah,
So instead of staying here, let's go to deck 10.
yeah.
He says, "Welcome to 10 Forward." We'll see this a lot through the rest of TNG, and it's cool to meet Guinan as an addition to the TNG lineup.
It is cool.
However, an addition
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about is Dr. Pulaski, and
Okay.
I'm sure you'll see me say this frequently through season two. I think they were going,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. I think they were going for a Bones type as a foil to Picard, but I don't think she
Yeah.
sticks the landing. She can be a jerk sometimes, but not in a fun way,
Yeah.
like I can be.
Yeah. No, she's definitely not lovable like Bones. Bones had this like charm, but Bones was supposed to be like a World War II style like doctor, just like
Right, right, right,
and so far all she does is she just complains about like hating robots when Starfleet is all about like meeting new forms of life forms and
right.
connecting everything. It's like it doesn't fit.
No,
It's I don't know. Bones gets away with it because it's so early on too, like in
right.
space travel.
But I also think it also works for him because he like almost generally hates like almost everything.
He's a very curmudgeon character, and that's why you love him.
Right, right, right.
She is just kind of very brash and like hates Data for no reason. So I liked her in this episode. I didn't think she was I thought her couple like whims were funny, mostly because like I enjoy that scene with the name because Data gets to kind of stand up for himself and be like, well, because my name is Data, not Data.
Yeah.
You'll address me as such. I liked that. I thought that was kind of a fun interaction with her. But
Yeah.
if that's where it ended, I would have been fine. But it didn't. It doesn't.
No.
So now I don't. I hate her.
Well, he says, I'll be interested to hear what Caleb thinks about Pulaski as the season carries on. Seems he likes her at this point. I won't think any
Yeah,
less of you, Caleb.
good. Well, we can all agree that Tasha Yar was the worst.
That's a great question, and I don't know. I'm gonna wait till the end of season two to answer that. It's a
Like,
great.
you think that maybe the Doctor character rivals
I
that
had,
character?
yeah. I don't. I personally, like gut feeling, I think Tasha's better, but I need to give season two a full watch to have a stronger opinion.
Hmm,
But that's
that's
okay.
interesting. Because as of right now, for me, Pulaski is just like kind of a jerk to Data,
Right.
and I don't really enjoy that. But overall, like she does stuff on the ship and she's active and
Right.
her role makes sense and she does her job. So 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 that's better to me already.
I don't disagree with you. I don't
You
disagree.
know, you know my opinion on Starfleet members. They should all just shut up and do their job. You know that's where I stand. I've said that many, many
Hundreds
times
of
about
times.
many characters.
Then he goes on to say the crew has a baby on the way with express delivery. The conference room scene with everyone is bad. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Then he says, "We're here to say hello to the baby."
Oh. That's what's funny about doing this is like I totally forget what I say during the episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then when I hear it back, it's hilarious. I forgot about that. That was pretty that's pretty funny. I'm glad that he thought that was funny. Oh man. Because that's just how it
It's
was.
totally how it played out.
It
Yeah,
comes out of nowhere too. They're just like they go into her room and
yeah.
Ian comes around the corner and he's like 12.
Yeah.
The Bubba. Bu-bu-bu. Oh man.
He then says, to sick bay. This is the start of Pulaski giving Data a hard time, which I don't care for.
Yeah,
But that may be
agreed.
because my views of the Doctor herself are negative. The conversation about Data's name was pretty good, though. One is my name, and the other is not. Take that.
Yeah, take that, you old wench.
Heading back to 10 forward, it was cool to see the Enterprise leave orbit and go to warp from that view.
Yeah, it was.
That was a nice moment between Guinan and Wesley. She is a superior counselor.
She has done more counseling than the actual counselor.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Then he says, hang on to your battle bridges, boys, because we have a saucer separation mention.
Uh-huh.
Time to take the count back to zero. It had been 6 episodes since the last mention of the saucer separation functionality. Gotta tell you that
Yeah.
when I read that,
It's
I like
yeah.
literally laughed out loud
Yeah. Oh
because
no, that's funny, yeah. I it makes me immediately after hearing that, it makes me want to like animate like a thing
yes,
where
yes,
like either like me in like cartoon form like walks in the room and just like and like takes the number off the wall and just like takes it back to zero. And
yeah,
then it like pans up and it says like saucer separation mentioned.
yeah. And,
Ah,
and then the other one next to it is actual saucer separation, and it's like it's a bigger number because they haven't actually done it, but the mentions are
yeah.
always is always low.
Yeah, it's gonna be even sadder when I have to animate that one where I have to put that to zero. I'm just gonna like pull it off the wall.
He says, I really enjoy Data getting to see the whole cycle of life. You can see how enamored he was with the whole thing. But I also wonder, wouldn't Data have had a chance to experience some of these things before? He's been around for a while.
Yeah. But the camera crew wasn't there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. There
That's how TV works.
there is something that they explore like later in the series. I feel like some of the stuff that they make him do early on doesn't make quite as much sense for what they explain of his character like later.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing that Worf suffers from, in my opinion, is like if you want
Yeah.
this guy to be, like a pure Klingon and have that be interesting that, he's dealing with that while being on Federation, and
Yeah.
then you make his backstory like, oh yeah, he was like really young when he got like adopted by humans. So it's like, well, then he wouldn't know any of his Klingon like heritage then.
Yeah.
But it's like, but he's gotta have it,
He's
because
got to
he's
do
a
it. Yeah.
Klingon. Like, yeah, so don't make him adopted.
Then he goes on to say, now the sad part, the loss of Ian. I think
So sad.
Karina Sirtis does a great acting job here. What a whirlwind
Yeah,
for her character. Before really being able to come to terms being a mother, she has to lose her child. It was a noble sacrifice, but how hard would that be to take? Also, Ian now looks like the star from the More You Know PSA. I'm not sure how I feel about Will's proposed ending for the episode, though, with Troy being horrified afterwards by what happened.
yeah,
She had an emotional connection to Ian, her child, even if for just a few days. For Ian to provide her comfort after Troy lost her child felt appropriate to me. I think that at the end of the day, for me, I totally get it. Like, I'm not saying that
yeah.
that's like how the ending should actually be. The thing at the end of the day that I just don't, what makes me not like about the episode is it's like,
She at the end of the day, she was assaulted by
yes,
an alien,
right.
and that's
Yeah,
not good.
right, right. And it's like the part of him being like the little energy ball star thing. is fine. Like him going through the ship and like looking at stuff, like that doesn't bother me. It's like he's an alien. He's curious. He's not hurting anybody. He's just going through the
Yeah.
ship. And then even at the end when he dematerializes and goes into her hand and like talks to her and he's kind to her and he's sorry about all of the problems, that's I don't have any problem with that either. Because again,
Yeah.
he's an alien. He was trying to be innocent and, he didn't have bad intentions. But
Right.
all the stuff that we talked about was like, at the end of the day, she was assaulted and then they write her to be so like
Hmm.
pleased with it, and it
Yeah.
it doesn't make any logical sense. Like, unless Ian is doing something to her to like deaden or like do stuff to her brain where she's so happy about it, it doesn't make any sense.
With that scene too, where they're talking about what to do with the baby, they film it in a way where it's almost like either the thing inside her is like speaking to her, or like she senses that it has like an emotion, or it's like already like a person.
Yeah, right, right,
And she's like, okay, well, I've decided I'm gonna keep it no matter what. And you're like, okay, like that's fine. But like to your point, that shows that like it maybe manipulated her a little bit, but I think her like 180 to just like, I don't really understand what's happening. I woke up pregnant and it's really weird and it's kind of like unsettling to
right,
being like so emotionally invested.
right, right.
I don't really enjoy it. I'm with you. I think it's very like it's just weird. It just feels weird to me.
Yeah, and I agree with what he's saying that like if you look at it from the perspective of, well, she's happy about this and Ian is born and Ian is very sweet and kind to her and very loving and it's like a wonderful cool thing for Troy to have like this child and it's massively advancing very quickly and she's able to experience
Hmm.
like motherhood on an accelerated thing and it's wonderful and then he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's horrific. That's horrific to like
Yeah, it's
rip,
really bad.
kill a child from the mother, right? I don't disagree
It,
with that.
if
It's
this
just
episode was later on in the season and they had kind of explained throughout this first season that she had always like wanted to be a mother and she's never had the opportunity in
right, right,
Starfleet to be a mother, I
right,
think I'd feel more like From My Office does about like, well, that's pretty awful that she experienced that,
right.
but nice that she got to experience it.
Yeah, I think ultimately because we're as the audience, we go from her scene of being assaulted and then Picard being upset that Pulaski isn't on the bridge to finding Pulaski and Pulaski's like, "Hey, don't talk to me for a second. Sit down. You got to hear this." They don't show what Deanna and Pulaski and Picard talk about. Like they don't show that conversation. They
Well,
also
she
don't
looks
show Pulaski and Troy in the med bay getting scanned and talking. Like they don't show
no,
any of that. We
she
just
looks pretty
hard cut.
horrified in the bar scene.
Yeah, right, right. And but they just hard cut to the observation room or lounge or whatever. And then it's just like she's
Yeah,
pregnant, and then it goes on to this like weird pro-life, pro-choice thing. Riker's obsessed with who impregnated her. And then all of
yeah,
a sudden, Deanna's just like, no, screw you guys. I'm keeping this thing. And it's just like, okay, well, whatever. We're done talking about it.
yeah.
And
I
you're
know.
like, well, why?
What does this do? What is this?
How did we get here? How did we get to the point that an alien does the R word
Yeah,
and then you're like, cool. I'm happy to have this thing, and it's growing at such an crazy rate that's like that's fun, man. That's awesome. It's
that's
like
really cool. Yeah,
what? That's where I have the hang up. I don't think that the kid acts poorly. I don't think that the idea that like her being upset that the kid is dying is terrible. It's just the fact that like
yeah,
they accept this child being like actual Ian Andrew Troy as like her actual flesh and blood.
yeah,
And I think if the whole time they just said like, "Hey, listen, he really is," instead of like the scene where it's like, No, Ian, I think they're asking you why you impregnated me. And he's like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell you yet. You're not ready to know.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that. They don't
Uh-huh.
make him just like a dumb kid who's actually her baby. It's like, no, he's still an alien growing and doing all this weird stuff for
Yeah.
like research purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and it's just like too sudden for her to be just so enamored with it. I get that she would be sad about it. Like that's fine. But yeah, it doesn't it feels like she didn't have the choice, and it just feels like an 80s thing where it's like, oh well,
Yes.
she doesn't really, what is she gonna do? You know?
I think at the end of the day, they're trying to make pro-life, pro-choice, they're trying to tackle that to a small degree. But I also think at the end of the day, there is some like 80s sexism there where it's like, oh yeah, well she
Yeah.
got like, oh, it's terrible. It's immediately
Yeah.
terrible because of
Well,
the assault.
she's gonna be really connected to this thing because she's a woman.
Exactly.
And
It's like,
women raise children no matter
right.
what. It's
Women
like,
love being
oh,
pregnant, and you're like, oh, okay.
yeah. What else do they do? Cook and get pregnant. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So I don't, it's
Roddenberry came
not,
in, he's like, this is a good episode so far. Really liking it. Really liking it. Is
yeah.
there any way we can show her like kind of like moan? Like when it happened.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Not to like we're not harping on from my office.
No, it's not him at all. No, no,
It's
no.
just that he's wrong and we're right, and that's the important thing to remember.
No, I don't like the points that he
Yeah.
brings up. Like, obviously, I wouldn't want to go through the whole episode and then at the end be like, she's horrified about the whole thing. Like, that wouldn't work.
Oh
I
my
just
God, you let that thing live inside me. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's
I just wish that they dealt with the ball of energy impregnating her more like how they would treat any other alien infection
yeah.
that would do it. You know, because right now, you and I both know that if they showed the screen and it was like some sort of cockroach in her belly, and she
She
was
would
like,
not be.
no,
No.
but then she's like, I'm keeping this thing. I want to see what happens.
Yeah. She
Like,
wouldn't be crying over it. I'll tell you that much.
right.
Yeah.
So we love it. It's okay. It's okay. Just
It's
had
all
to
right.
just had to stand on the soapbox for a minute.
Yeah. I
It's,
think if she would have expressed a desire to be able to experience motherhood,
yeah,
I would have been a little bit more like, okay, I don't know.
it's okay. It's all right. Well, then we go back and he says Wesley gets permission from his mommy to stick around. Was there the slightest of smiles on Picard's face when Wesley chooses to stay?
No.
I like the scene on the bridge. Nice to see that the crew wants him around. Makes them feel a little more like a family and sort of gels them.
Yeah, I like the ending.
He says a bit cheesy, but I'll allow it. Far from perfect, I felt the overall tone of this episode was different than season one, which 100% agree.
Yes,
Season one felt silly or campy at times, but this felt like a little more serious and sure of itself, which it did.
it does.
And then he says, like they're starting to come into their own. They grow up so fast.
So fast. It's true.
And then he does the new thing that we're doing. He says that the popcorn award should go to Marina Sirtis.
Yeah, she's good. She's good in this episode.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, thank you for that comment. Now we'll move on to Captain Olimar's comment on the same episode. He says, Captain, the pregnancy must obviously be terminated. If the fetus is aborted, lab analysis is still possible. We're we're back, baby. And despite a beard, still feeling a bit shaky.
Yeah.
I'm glad we can stop pretending Geordi isn't chief engineer and Gates McFadden didn't get fired.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll get rehired at some point though.
Maybe. He says, I love Caleb's idea of renaming this episode Awkward.
Yeah, it's a
Starting
good
off with
title.
Troy getting an alien up the blank. I'm pleased Caleb recognized that
Oh,
Guinan is a better counselor than Troy right off the bat, which,
oh,
by
a
the
thousand
way,
percent.
will never change.
Oh, good. That's really good.
Well,
You know why? Because she actually talked to somebody about
yeah.
their feelings. Yeah, I know that's weird. I know it's a weird
Yeah.
concept.
Also, didn't just walk up to somebody and say, "You seem sad," and then they
Yeah.
were like, "I am sad, but I don't have time to talk," and then walk away from it.
Well, anyway, I got to get to the bridge because I
Yeah.
have to sit next to the captain. We all three of us hold hands and we fly through the galaxy and we get to things and I say, feels like something in that nebula. The captain says, all right, let's go into the nebula. It hurts. It hurts me.
This next part got me laughing. I don't know if you'll remember this. So he says, "It is wild that Whoopi wanted to be on." And Will is absolutely right that this is pre-Theodore Rex. So it's a pretty big deal still. Do you know Theodore Rex?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it. I don't.
It is a movie where she is like, I think she's like a cop, and
Oh
she's,
my God.
yeah,
Yes. Her partner is like a
a
dinosaur or something,
dinosaur.
right? Oh
Yeah.
my God. Holy crap. Yeah.
And it's like, it's probably, I don't know if it's like, it's not the worst movie ever, but it's in her catalog. It's
Oh,
like,
it's good.
it's real bad.
Because wasn't this the era of like, wasn't dinosaurs on
Yes.
like TV?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh
Yes.
my
In the
God.
90s. Yeah.
Wow.
Dinosaurs were like
Wow. My
really big in
brain
the
just was
90s.
like, my brain was just like, whoopee with dinosaur. Yeah. Wow. No, make it stop. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I believe this was probably the better choice for Whoopi.
Yeah, I think that movie too. I think she agreed to it and then found
Yeah.
out that it was going to be trash and tried to get out of it, and they
They're
wouldn't
like,
let her
oh
out,
no,
and she
Whoopi.
ended up like suing
Mm-mm.
them. And
We already made it, Whoopi.
yeah,
Wow, that's good. It's
yeah, it
really
is really
good.
good. He goes on to say, even as a kid watching, I knew who she was for whatever that's worth.
Yeah,
He
that's
said,
what's
well,
weird about Whoopi is like she's been famous and we've known her our entire lives, but like,
oh,
what has she really done that like as kids
I
like we
know.
would know? Oh, that's Whoopi Goldberg. Why did we know her as kids?
I think I most know her from, not that I watched them. I know about the comic relief thing with her and Robin Williams and Billy Crystal.
Hmm.
And I think it's just that there was a stretch of time where if Billy or Robin were somewhere, she would be with them because of the comic relief thing.
Oh, okay.
And, she was on Hollywood Squares in the late 90s with Tom Bergeron.
Oh,
Yeah,
man. Okay. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
And I think it's just like when we got older, she just was like in random things because she was super popular in the 80s and the early 90s. And she wasn't like petering out in the late 90s, but just like she just was on everything. And I think that's what happened. And then as we got older into the 2000s, you start to watch her old content like Jumpin' Jack Flash and
Jeez. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all that stuff. It's like, yeah, oh, okay. And she's funny in it. And she's,
Oh, okay. I grew up my mom watching Karina,
oh, yes, yes.
so I knew her in that
Yes.
pretty well. I also remember she was in Rat Race. That was pretty
Yes.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, that's like a
Yeah, that's
2001,
later
2002
on.
movie. Yeah. So
Oh, that's so crazy.
so then he says, I'm glad the Enterprise is expanding, gaining a shuttle bay and of course 10 forward. It's like gaining a new member of the crew.
Yep.
It is. It's nice. I agree with him a lot. And then he says, regarding the good doctor, I for one always disliked the change, and as such disliked the new Dr. Palanti. I mean Polaski. Eh,
Pulaski.
whatever. Who cares what a person's name is anyway?
Oh, I see what he did then. That's good.
Then he says Ian Sudokuing himself and Troy mourning her child was a good scene. The beginnings of her getting more to do, thank God. Sudoku.
Sudokuing. Oh man,
He was like, ah, I must leave.
my people need me.
He says Worf has a good one-liner, which was the I volunteer to tuck him in.
Yeah, yeah. That's my favorite of the episode.
He says, but I gotta give the popcorn award to Troy. She did a good job this episode, and if she had beansed it, then the ending wouldn't have landed.
Yeah.
Now, Caleb, is that who you would say gets the popcorn award?
What's the popcorn is like the best thing in
Best
the
actor
episode?
of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, she did the most, and her that ending scene, she actually makes me believe that she's emotional. Like she does a very good job in that scene.
Yeah, I agree.
I can get
Yeah,
behind that. Yeah.
I think the only person that might rival her in this episode is Data because there's a couple great scenes when he's like super excited about the pregnancy and some other stuff and his interaction with Pulaski, which is what you liked. They're like back
Yeah.
and forth. Like that stuff is good, but overall, Marina kind of sends it over with that last little bit of scene.
Yeah, I think overall she takes it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he concludes, keep up the good work as always, fellas. We
You know it.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that comment. And then also on our child episode, a user named Felix Z Wrath 82, they say, horrible cringe episode on my bottom 10 TNG list.
Nice.
That's interesting. Not It's interesting to see have people like some people like it, some people dislike it. I don't know. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
And then Captain Alimar like separately commented on the same thing. He says, "Oh, and Worf looks great, of course."
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah. It looks better in the second episode when he's got his Infinity Gauntlet on.
It's That's true. And then our final comment to cover in this video is another one from Captain Alimar. He says it on our "What does Caleb think of season 1 of Star Trek Next Generation?" Captain Alimar commented, "Good stuff, guys. Very funny episode this week. Thanks for sharing your experience with Star Trek with us all, Will. My dad got me into the show, and I recently finished Enterprise."
Cool.
Yeah, we appreciate that. That's nice of you to say. He
And
says,
that's the
yeah.
best that Star Trek has to offer right there.
Maybe, maybe. And then he says, and yes, Seth is in like 2 shots. Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, funny. I forgot about that already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, I wish it got a 5th season. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
You,
Welcome to the Star Trek Club.
yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the Enterprise Season 5 fan club.
Yeah. I mean, really, honestly, I think we all agree that welcome to the season 5, 6, and 7 fan club because that's what the other shows get. So,
I know they keep teasing like an animation,
and
but they'll never do it.
no,
They hate us.
no, it's bad. They're all still alive. It's like they should do something. And then he gives a little bit of advice, a little sprinkle of he
Oh,
says DS9 is like if Star Trek took place in an airport terminal.
yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So I remember my mom watching that, and legitimately every single time I would be in the room or in the same area, that's why I always call it the Star Trek bar because that's all I remember from the show. It was just they were always in the bar doing things, and Quark was like scheming something and doing
Yeah.
something stupid, and I don't care.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Captain Aymar, for the multiple comments. We thank everybody for all of your comments. It's obviously helping Caleb and I to laugh, to reflect. We dug into some more opinions and more thoughts on the child. So we look forward to hearing about what you guys thought of Where Silence Has Lease, the latest one we talked about. We look forward to covering that next week. But before we conclude the episode, it's time to do the thing that's so popular this week.
This is popular, so popular. This is popular this week.
All right, well, here's the first one from the TOS subreddit. Look at that smooth character.
Yeah. He looks like a young Pike.
He does look like a young.
There's got to be some play we can do the other team won't expect when we throw the football down the field.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why that's like the running Shatner gag. Like I've seen all the Shatner stuff now, and I'm like, he doesn't talk like he very rarely inflects anything like that.
I think it's because, like, in other media, that's how he talks.
Yeah.
Like in commercials and stuff. Yeah. The thing that's really funny, and I know it's like, it shouldn't shock me, but I was just literally thinking about it. Like, this is him probably in high school, and he's, gonna play football. And it's like, it's the mid 40s.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like he's playing football while World War II is happening.
Yeah. Every time I see Shatner, I'm like happy that he's still
Oh, like still cooking.
like around and doing stuff, you know?
The dude is like in his 90s. Yeah.
I
Doesn't
know.
even seem possible, but yeah, it's crazy. He has stayed relevant for like 70 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then this next one, it's another post in the subreddit of Strange New Worlds. Wasn't really a captivating Enterprise one this week.
Lame.
I know. I thought you'd like this more than the
Uh,
other one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The Admiral and the Captain.
The thing that I like about it, which makes me happy for other reasons, is like, okay, so they're on a Star Trek set in Star Trek uniforms, right? But he's taking a selfie with his phone, which that's funny.
Yeah.
And then down on the table between them, there's like a cup, a soda, and then
Yeah.
it looks like Anson has like a crossword puzzle on his phone. Like that's what he was doing while they're waiting between scenes. He's got
Yeah.
something in his hands. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a thing like a Star Trek prop, but it's just really funny to think like if that was actually Captain Pike and Admiral April.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just funny. I get it's just a behind the scenes shot, but it just because everything is so Star Trek in the picture, it just is very funny. I feel like this KK Can 2020's got to watch our show because like we are pumping out his material for all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just about all we do.
Well, very good. That was what was popular this week at both of those subreddits. We once again thank everybody for following us along. We appreciate everybody just helping us to have a separate series where we can talk about comments. Like it's the only reason this exists is because you guys talk to us. So if that didn't happen, this wouldn't be here. So we appreciate it.
Yes. Without you, Will and I would just be talking to each other.
Yep.
And
And that's abysmal.
God, that is just horrible.
So we
Yep.
look forward to talking about next week's episode. We look forward to that. And you can always head on over to Caleb's channel when this video ends. Even if he doesn't have a new video up, you can still find older content. He's got a lot of fun stuff over there. You can continue to hear us talk about anything, really. We talk about a lot of different things over there on his podcast end of things. So you can always follow the conversation there. And if you're watching this video and you didn't watch our review of The Child or Where Silence Has Lease, make sure you go back and watch those videos and comment on them so we can talk about them in next week's episode.
Yeah, go do it.
Well, until next week, everyone, hailing frequencies closed.